Alright, this video is on how to set up a proportion and also how to solve proportions. Have some paper out. You're going to definitely need your calculator and a pencil to take notes. So our first problem here is just a typical looking proportion. First of all, if you don't know what a proportion is, it's another way of saying a proportion is basically two equivalent fractions. For example, these are equivalent fractions. We could also say they are two ratios, even though we don't have any units comparing, like we don't have 2 miles per 3 gallons or anything like that. We can say that these are two rates that we're comparing. And so when you have two equivalent ratios or two equivalent rates, it makes a proportion. Okay, so how do you solve a proportion? To solve a proportion, it's just like finding equivalent fractions. So right now you look at your denominators and you know that you can multiply 6 by 3 to get 18. And if you do that on the bottom, you have to do that on the top. You always want to multiply or divide by the same exact number on the top and bottom. So we know up here that 5 times 3 equals 15. So the answer to our proportion, we just solved it, is x equals 15. So solving them isn't necessarily the hardest part. Write this proportion down. So with this, you are looking at the relationship between 24 and 3. I know that I divide 24 by 8 to get 3. So if I divide the bottom by 8, I need to also divide the top by 8. So 16 divided by 8 equals 2. In this case, n equals 2. I'll write this proportion down. Again, if I'm going too fast, just pause it so you can stay ahead with me. A lot of you can just do this in your head. You don't need to write it down. You're probably just thinking this is double, or the opposite way, it's cut in half. So I multiply 4 by 2 to get 8. So k times 2 must equal 2. So what times 2 equals 2? That's one way you can look at it. Another way you can think about it is you're going this way. What do I do to 8 to get 4? I divide it by 2. So down here you want to divide this by 2 and you should get 1. So in this case you solve the proportion, whoopsie, k equals 1. Okay, now write this one down. I've hopefully made this so you can't do it in your head as easy. So we look at 2 and we ask ourselves, what do I multiply 2 by to get 7? This, if you need to use your calculator, feel free. How would you figure that out? How do you get 2 times what equals 7? Well, you're probably going to have to think the opposite operation. So 7 divided by 2 equals 3.5. So 2 times 3.5 equals 7. So down here you need to do 6 times 3.5 to get what x equals. If you need to use your calculator, feel free to. Once you're all done, you'll get x equals 21. Another way to solve a problem like this, it's great that you're looking at the relationship between the numerators up there and the numerators down here. Another way you can look at a proportion, you can look at the relationship not going across, but you can look at the relationship between these. So I know that if I start with 2 and multiply it by 3, I get it to equal 6. Well, that same relationship works here. 7 times 3 equals 21. So you can look at the relationship this way, you can look at the relationship that way, to be able to figure out what the missing variable is. And then another way to solve proportions, you might hear teachers call it this a lot. Cross, multiply, and divide. Whoa, that's sloppy writing, sorry. Cross, multiply, divide. Okay, what does that mean? Cross multiply, you want to take the numbers that are diagonal from each other. You don't want those because x is your variable. You want these because you can multiply those two numbers. So the first thing you do is 6 times 7. And then divide. You divide by the last number that's there, 2. So let's try it. 6 times 7 is 42. Divided by 2, you get 21 again. So that's kind of the one we'll probably come back to a lot. It's a very easy way to do it, cross, multiply, and divide. But please don't forget to always look at the relationships between them, because that's kind of the way to understand why it works. So this is the last one we're going to solve. So you could ask yourself, what do I multiply 3 by to get 20? You can use your calculator and find out. I think it's like 6.6 repeating. You could look at the relationship this way. I noticed that I would multiply by 3 to get that. So over here I could just multiply 3 by 3 to get 9. So x equals 9. Another way to do it is to cross multiply and divide. So you're going to multiply those numbers. 3 times 60 equals 180, divided by the last number there. Holy cow, I did something really funny here. Not 18. 3 times 60 is 180. There we go. And then you want to divide that by the last number, which is here. And 180 divided by 20 equals 9. So x equals 9. A bunch of different ways to do it. Okay, now you know how to solve proportions. How do you set them up to be able to solve a problem? Try this one. Jasmine bought 32 kiwi fruit for $16. How many kiwi can Lisa buy if she has $4? I guess we're assuming that they are the same price. So when you set up a proportion, the biggest thing you need to know, what are the two things we're comparing? We already talked about a rate, that you're comparing two different things. In this case, we're comparing kiwi fruit to money. So the first thing you want to do, don't even think about your numbers in the problem. Think about your two units that you're comparing. And then write those down. I'm comparing kiwi fruit to money. Now, a proportion are two equivalent rates, so you want to set that up. We know that there's 32 kiwi fruits. I'm getting really hungry for kiwi right now. 32 kiwi fruits for $16. So we put the 32 up here because the 32 matches this kiwi. And we put the $16 down here because it matches the dollars down there. So over here, we need to put how many kiwi can Lisa buy if she has $4. All we know is the $4. The dollars is on the bottom, so that goes there. And how many? Well, we don't know that, so we're going to have x represent that. So that's how you set up your proportions. Now, you know how to solve it, so pause the video, solve it any method that you like. Okay, so if you've already solved it, hopefully you noticed, hey, I can divide this by 4, so I can divide this by 4. Maybe some of you cross multiply and then divide by 16. Either way, your answer should be 8. We expect that you're labeling it. 8 what? And this is easy because 8 is on the top and so is kiwi, so it should be 8 kiwi fruits that she bought. Yum, yum. Okay, try this one. First off, what are the two units that we're talking about? A 12-ounce bottle of shampoo lasts Enrique 16 weeks. How long would you expect an 18-ounce bottle of the same brand to last him? If you haven't yet, write down your two units. So I wrote down ounces compared to weeks. I'm going to put my ounces on the top. So I know that 12-ounce bottle lasts Enrique 16 weeks. So I'm setting up my proportion. How long would you expect an 18-ounce bottle to last? I know 18 ounces, so the 18 goes up here. How long, the weeks? I don't know that. And it doesn't matter if you use x, you can use any variable. But again, pause the video and go ahead and solve the proportion. Okay, when I solved it, I did the following. I multiplied those two numbers and then divided it by 12, and I got 24. But you need to label it, so it should be 24 weeks. All right, try this one. About 13 out of 20 homes have a personal computer. On a street with 60 homes, how many would you expect to have a personal computer? So first write down what are the two things that you are comparing. Pause the video and then come back. And if you want, set it all up and then check to see how we're doing. So my two things I'm comparing is how many homes have a computer. I'm just going to abbreviate. The second thing is just how many total homes there are on that street. So 13 out of 20 have one. on a street with 60 homes. The 60 is how many total homes. So I don't know that. So I'm not going to cross multiply and divide here because I know quickly that I just need to multiply by 3. So x equals 39. And it's 39, how do I label it? Homes that have a computer. Holy cow. Can you read any of that writing? Okay, we got another one for you. Pause the video, set it all up yourself, and then check back in with me. Okay, so you hopefully were comparing ounces to pieces of candy. So the 6-ounce package of fruit has 45 pieces. How many pieces, so I don't know pieces, would you expect for 10 ounces? And then you solve it. I might cross multiply and divide here. 45 times 10 divided by 6, I get 7, and it's pieces. Somebody asked a really good question once, and they said, well, what if I didn't do ounces over pieces? What if I did pieces over ounces? Would I end up getting the same thing? Well, let's try it. So then it'd be 45 over 6 and x over 10. And you cross multiply the same stuff, divide by the same number. Yep, you still get the same thing. The most important thing is that you're lining things up with what matches. So like up here, the 6 and 10 represent ounces, so you know you're in the right spot. These down here represent the pieces. If you accidentally wrote it like this, then your equation's not going to end up being right what you solve because it's not lined up the right way. Okay, try this one. Pause the video, see how you do. Okay, the two things we're comparing for our rate is the tests compared to the minutes. So I said there's 48 tests being graded in 1 minute equals how long will it take the test machine to do 300 tests? Test goes on top. I don't know that. You might want to cross multiply and divide this. 300 divided by 48. I actually didn't get a whole number. I got 6.25, and that should be labeled minutes. If you want to convert it to seconds, go right ahead. That sounds fun. I'm not going to, though. Okay, I think this is your last one. Oh, no, woohoo! That one was your last one. That means we're done. Okay, so hopefully you now can set up a proportion and solve it. Cross multiply divide is kind of the trick, but also just make sure you know that there is a relationship when you're looking at these equivalent fractions, these equivalent rates. Okay, that's all I have for you. Maybe we should write something at the top of your paper so we know you watched this. Write the word blueberry on the top middle of your paper because I love blueberries. All right, have a good one. Bye.